America. I am Erick Erickson. I've got the four things you need to know this afternoon before you get home for November 18th. Up first, in a 427 to 1 vote, the House of Representatives has voted to release all of the Epstein files from the prosecutor's case. You'll have to remember, of course, a federal judge had blocked release of the files by the executive branch with the intervention of the legislative branch. Assuming the Senate passes the legislation, it'll go forward. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, spoke on the floor, saying that the legislation as drafted is badly flawed. Clay Higgins, the Republican of South Louisiana, was the lone no vote in a very rare show of bipartisan support. Clay Higgins actually makes a very persuasive case about the flaws in the legislation and his objection to it, noting that there will be a lot of names that come out of the files that should have protection because they are innocent people, but by being tied to the Epstein investigation, there will be taint around them as a result. He's not wrong. That was actually the reason the federal judge blocked a lot of the release of documents. It's also Mike Johnson's objection to the release of the files, saying the Senate needs to do a better job of allowing redaction of names from the record who actually are innocent people and just happen to be questioned in the investigation because they might have had innocent ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Up next, President Trump has defended Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman over accusations of complicity in the Jamal Khashoggi killing. Now, this is interesting because in the past, President Trump has told reporters off the record and on background, according to people like Bob Woodward, that, of course, the Crown Prince knew about the killing. And, in fact, the CIA and others have also said the Crown Prince not only knew about the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, but actually was a complicit participant in having him killed. Now, today, President Trump says he disagrees with the CIA and all the outside investigations. Let's be honest about what's happening here. He wants deals with Saudi Arabia. He wants investment of Saudi Arabia in the United States, and he wants Saudi Arabia to purchase American products like the F-35. So he's playing nice with the Saudi Crown Prince, which is something Joe Biden was incapable of doing. Joe Biden caused a deterioration of allied relations with Saudi Arabia, allowing Saudi Arabia to begin to flirt with China. President Trump intends to restore those relations, treating the Crown Prince as some sort of major American ally and best friend. To be sure, the Saudi Crown Prince, there are lots of troubling allegations about him personally, his abuse of women, the Jamal Khashoggi killing, his tyrannical high hand, his prosecution and persecution of other members of the Saudi royal family. But at the end of the day, in real politics, he's an ally of the United States, and President Trump gets that, and he's willing to move beyond the Khashoggi killing. What is really notable is how the American media can't move beyond the Khashoggi killing because Jamal Khashoggi worked at the Washington Post. Despite dubious ties he himself possibly had with the Muslim Brotherhood, there are serious credible allegations of his own ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, which is potentially a terrorist organization. The media has glanced over those and glossed over those in favor of just trying to discredit the Saudi Crown Prince for the killing. I'm not defending the killing, but I do think there's more to the story, and Saudi Arabia actually is an American ally for which we actually should treat them as an ally. A Trump-appointed judge in Texas has, writing for a 3-judge panel, ruled that the Texas congressional district maps drawn by Republicans are unconstitutional because they were racially gerrymandered, something you're still not supposed to do in the United States. The Texas Republicans argue that the districts were not racially gerrymandered. They were gerrymandered based on partisan composition. The judge disagreed. This will go to appeal. Now, there's a question. Can California use its new districts? Because the California proposition that was voted on by the public there was premised entirely on Texas deploying new congressional districts. If Texas can't, can California? It's an open question. But also, the odds are that Texas congressional districts will get appealed. That appeal will be to the Fifth Circuit, which tends to be very friendly to Republicans, and the odds are the 3-judge panel gets overturned and Texas is able to run on the new maps. They'll have to expedite the appeal, however, to make sure it can happen for the 2026 midterm elections. Lastly, a federal judge in Washington, D.C. has ruled that Meta is not a monopoly. Prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It was Judge Boasberg. Yes, that Judge Boasberg, bane of existence for the Trump administration, ruled that Meta is not a monopoly. This is a Lena Khan, Joe Biden lawsuit against Meta, claiming because it purchased Instagram and WhatsApp, it was building a social media monopoly. The judge has thrown out the case. It's a $1.5 trillion company. It's a massive blow to the government's effort to rein it in. This is from the New York Times. Judge Boasberg of the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, in an 89-page ruling, said Meta did not create a monopoly in social networking through the acquisitions. The Federal Trade Commission had sued the company, accusing it of breaking antitrust law by acquiring Instagram and WhatsApp in a buy or bury strategy to cement its social media dominance. The FTC continues to insist that Meta competes with the same old rivals it had for the last decade, that the company holds a monopoly among that small set, and that it maintained that monopoly through anti-competitive acquisitions, according to Judge Boasberg, saying the court's verdict determines the FTC has not met the burden of showing so, and in fact notes that the landscape has completely shifted since Instagram and WhatsApp were purchased. Those are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. I'm Erick Erickson. Please stay engaged, stay informed. Please keep the faith.